Thank you for joining us tonight. As Brianna said, I'm Stephanie Wiseman. I'm tonight's host for Solo Arts Heal. We are thrilled to present Remembering Amy Oestreicher, a MarshStream tribute to this incredible performer, artist, and creative extraordinaire. Solo Arts Heal is a program where performers present real-life, empowering stories, a theater of resilience that celebrates overcoming mental and physical life challenges and offers hope and inspiration. MarshStream's Solo Arts Heal program includes performance excerpts, talkbacks, and a Q&A providing education and advocacy that support communities through educational outreach and the healing power of the arts. Amy Oestreicher is and will continue to be a beacon in the Solo Arts Heal community. MarshStream, the Marsh's digital platform, as you know, was graced with Amy's presence in its first year on 3 of its programs: Monday Night MarshStream, the MarshStream International Solo Fest, and Solo Arts Heal. Here's a little background on Amy. Amy had plans for college and a Broadway career until her stomach exploded the week before her senior prom. Months later, she awoke from a coma to learn that she might not ever be able to eat or drink again. After years on IV nutrition, her first bite of food awakened her senses to life's ordinary miracles, but also brought back memories of being sexually abused by a trusted mentor for months. Just before the unexpected rush to the emergency room that fateful night. With determination, imagination, relentless resilience, and an inner hunger for life, Amy created a roadmap where none existed. Amy is an Audie Award-nominated author, writer for the Huffington Post, speaker for TEDx, a health advocate, award-winning actress, mixed media, songwriter, and playwright. As she was a survivor and thriver of multiple traumas, she eagerly shared the gifts of life, beautiful detours, and the tremendous gifts that can be reaped from adversity through her arts, including solo shows, Gutless and Grateful, and Passageways. She is also the author of 2 books, My Beautiful Detour and Creativity, and her second, Gratitude, which was released the day before she died on April 7, 2021. This is just a short bio for a most creative and inspirational person who died so young, but during her years, she was a powerhouse that touched the lives of so many and will continue to through her creative endeavors. Our hearts tonight are filled with the memory of Amy. First off, to introduce you, we will start off with a trailer about Amy. Kristen, if you will put that on, that would be great.
Amy Oestreicher's stomach literally exploded.
I'm still alive, I'm still here by my will, for I knew I just had to survive. Now there's not a day that my heart doesn't sing. If I'm still alive, I can do anything.
Amy was told she cannot eat or drink, not a morsel, for the last 2 years.
It was April of my senior year, a week before my prom, and I was in a coma. Mom says I have Broadway on the brain. Don't get too comfy in that seat when I strut my stuff. You'll be on your feet. I was born to sing and dance.
I heard that when they opened the stomach, it sort of exploded onto the roof of the operating room. It was so much pressure.
After 14 operations and 2 years without food or drinks, Amy spent months in a coma. But through her grit and determination, plus the help of doctors at 6 hospitals, she's made it this far.
Now it's time for you to hear the song that David Friedman and I wrote just for you. And David was going to help you put together a little cabaret act.
Some girls prefer to wash and clean.
What a trailer, what a person she was. And now we're going to further introduce us to her work. an excerpt from Gutless and Grateful.
I remember waking up from my coma. I was so heavily sedated that I thought I was underwater. Then I tried taking bites of my brothers because I thought they were pieces of fruit. Since I couldn't talk, I made up my own sign language, which was mostly pointing to words on a board that my mom had made, then just a lot of... And then I remember the terribly sobering day that the doctor finally told me what was going on. He said I had no stomach anymore. I couldn't eat or drink, and he didn't know when or if that would ever be possible again. What do you say to that? Soon, I saw so many doctors come and go that I became numb to seeing doctors, almost as numb as they were to seeing me. I was 18, hormonal, and comatose for my senior prom. I would have loved to shout out to those young, eligible med school bachelors, hello, up here. I'm a person, I'm a woman, and legal. One time there was this really cute doctor and he was about to come in and examine me. So I put on a little makeup, a bit of mascara, a bit of rouge, and he came in, looked at me, and said my bronchial tubes were entrancing. My epiglottis filled him with glee. He simply loved my larynx and went wild about my pharynx, but he never said he loved me. He said my epidermis was darling and found my blood as blue as can be. He went through wild ecstatics when I showed him my lymphatics, but he never said he loved me. Once I loved such a shattering physician, quite the best looking doctor in the state. He looked after my physical condition, and his bedside manner was great. When I gaze up and see him there above me, looking less like a doctor than a Turk, I was tempted to whisper, do you love me, or do you merely love your work? He said, my cerebellum was brilliant, and my cerebrum far from NG. I know he thought a lot of my medulla oblongata, but he never said he loved me. He said my maxillaries were marvels, and from my sternum stunning to see. He did a double hurdle when I shook my pelvic girdle, but he never said he loved me. And though no doubt it was not very smart of me, I kept unwrecking my soul to figure out why he loved every part of me and yet not me as a whole. With my esophagus, he was ravished, enthusiastic to a degree. He said it was just enormous, my appendix veriformis. But he never said he loved me. Soon, as my health started to improve, I started to get my old spunk back, which the doctors were happy about, and not so happy about. I was restless, antsy, and starting to feel like a prisoner. My parents slept in the ICU with me every night, so they were feeling a little cooped up too. We had to get out, so we decided one day to make a break for it and go shopping. The time was 3:35 p.m. on a Tuesday. The doctors had rounded, The nurses were filling their meds. The coast was finally clear to bust out of this joint. We plotted our escape in the mess hall. Dad would keep a lookout while Mom and I headed towards the service elevators, down to the lobby, out the back entrance, onto 166th and Broadway, and we were free men. I was having a great time. I was finally free of my IV pole for an hour. I was dancing in the middle of the street singing, "I got no IVs to hold me down." I didn't understand why everyone was staring at me until my mom reminded me that I was still in my hospital gown. I didn't care. I turned a corner, raced down the street, and found myself face to face with Juanita, the social worker. Someone must have tipped her off. We were kindly escorted back, and at nurse's report that night, there was a little announcement. Amy Oestreicher, blood draw, bandage change, and please make sure that she and her family stay on the unit. You're not my mother. You can't give me a curfew. I know as an ICU patient, I just can't go traipsing about New York, but I was also a stir-crazy teenager. The doctors seemed to just expect me to be happy that I was alive, but I wanted a timetable for how long it would take to get my real life back again. People are telling me I'll be surgically reconnected soon, and I'll eventually be able to eat and drink soon enough. Soon enough. Before you know it, time, patience, the tears I'm shedding now, I hear will dry in time. The fears I'm fearing now, I hear will die in time. Will I wait around for tomorrow, watching life drift away? What about, just what about today? I know if I just wait, the sun will shine someday. And when it does, the weather will be fine someday. But while the skies I search for tomorrow stay that same shade of gray, what about, just what about today? Until Nirvana comes, what about today? Till Messiah comes, what about today? Till the mountains move and oceans part and angels sing a light can start, what about, yes, what about today? I can't help wondering if tomorrow ever comes. And what's my life been lived for if it never comes? I hear a lot of toasts to tomorrow, but none of them ever say, what about today? What about today? What about, yes, what about today? What about today? What about tomorrow? And the day after tomorrow? People call me a miracle. Really? What kind of miracle? Nobody has any answers, not even the doctors. I thought my parents knew everything. They can't even help me. This sucks. I wish I could. I wish I was. I want to cry. I want to feel the world around me whirling by. I want to cry for those that live and those that die. You sing a lullaby. I want to cry. I want to pray that all my wishes could come true after today. And should I put a word for you in? Should I say, want to pray. I want to lie. I want to think that things are better than they are. I want to think we've gotten further and that far is just an inch away. I want to lie. A horse with wings. I want to think of things like that and other things. I want two brothers, one who laughs and one who sings. I hope the future brings a horse with wings. I want to know the things they told me way back then were really so. I want to make a little mark before I go, not barely just get by. I want to fly.
What a beautiful story. How wonderfully she put it together and performed it. We have a second video excerpt from her next play, Passageways. And we are thrilled that Shellen Lubin is here to talk a little bit about this. Shellen, just to give you a short bio, is a playwright, a songwriter, director, actor, singer. As a director and dramaturg, she assisted in the development of new plays. She developed two pieces with Amy, Passageways, seen at Here Art Center and other venues, and more than ever now. Lubin is currently working on developing projects with many artists on multiple venues. Her plays have been produced and workshopped at Manhattan Class Company, Public Theater, Theater Breaking Through Barriers, and many more. Her songs have been featured on the radio, cable TV, plays, and film. Let's welcome Shellen.
Hello there.
Hi. Can you tell us a little bit about Passageways for us? And how you work with Amy?
Yes, absolutely. So Passageways was a bunch of songs, a group of songs that Amy had written fairly soon after coming out of the hospital. And she had over a number of years worked with them, with a marvelous pianist and musical arranger, Bob Goldstone. And when she and I started working together on her voice, as you mentioned, I was her voice teacher and coach, and she wanted me to direct. They had been working on making a piece of them. And so we started to develop it as a theater piece that would create a world. The most beautiful experience we had was at Here Art Center, where we got to work in their large theater, and Amy's paintings, which are so magnificent, and there are hundreds of them. We took slides of them. We took so many pictures, and they were the set for the show. They were projected in large behind, and they became the set piece. And we took the elements of her story, like trees, right? All the stuff she has about trees, and we took a ladder and we turned it into a tree. And we took a book and turned it into this huge, colorful book that became the story of her life. And so she had these props, and I think this is part of what led her into then go into puppetry, because in a way we created a puppet world that she lived in telling this story. So it was a magical world and obviously a musical world. And that allowed this incredibly difficult story, because this was the story not just of everything that happened with her physical body in the stomach explosion and all of the surgeries, 20, I think by the end it was 28, 29 surgeries, but also the realization of what she had been through in the abuse. And quite a number of the songs, that is what they were about. So it was very dark, dense stuff, but also extremely poetic, beautiful musically, and then illustrated with these gorgeous paintings of hers that are also what she was talking about in the songs. Some of the lines in the songs about how she puts a tear in it. Every painting has a tear in it. And about the image of things breaking open and things coming together and things healing through nature and loving trees and wind and grass. I know these are all images that you know from her songs and from her singing. So the Passageways piece was much more from her and from the depth of her creative being than Gutless and Grateful, which was funny and smart and brilliant and sad cabaret act. It was much more of like a cabaret act, you know? This was a theater piece.
I can't wait for all of us to see it. So Kristen, dear producer, can you now reel out this excerpt?
Everything is different now. Nothing looks the same. Nothing tastes the same. To not crumble into a million pieces on the floor. I'm just going to see myself as a dot stuck to the wall. I'm not here right now. I'm fine. I split off and I left my body to a slimy snake I thought was my mentor. I see you with the blinds pulled down, squares of sunlight turn my carpet gold. I see you in a frosty ring of heavy breathing in the bitter cold. I see you in a world I don't belong to, things I'll never be. I see you seeing all my flaming, fiery soul, but I can't see me. High school's a nightmare. I want to scream out to Mr. Costa in homeroom. Do you know I'm sleeping with someone twice your age? I hear you when a quiet night prods at my heart. Can you handle it? I hear you smirking with the stars. The world is whispering what you did. I hear you plucking cords along my throat. I speak, but you persist. And sometimes when I'm all alone, I hear you laugh. Can you handle this? I insist this and you ending me as you trickle down through my legs. I'm sick of you boiling in my tea and sizzling in my scrambled eggs. As a dot on the wall, I'm going to imagine Amy's finger reaching through from the other side, and for a moment our fingertips connect. But I pull back like I've just touched a hot stove. The Amy I left behind is in there, and she's pissed. and her soul is fiery and fierce. But today, you ended me, though you're gripping down in my past, stretching me like a rubber band and flinging me backwards hard and fast. I love the tingly feelings, like when Tyler Roseman had his hands around my waist and we slow danced at Aaron's bat mitzvah. We were 13 and Ryan's touch felt good. Snake, when you built me all these pretty things, you laid them on me like a dove. Did you mean that? Did you mean that? And when you took them all away, you gave yourself instead. You called it love. Did you mean that? Did you mean that? Is that what you wanted from me? A dot on the wall? I feel you in the faucet stream, in the spiny bristles on my comb. I feel you when the same routine feels different when it's done alone. I draw the lines up just to feel the morning warmth, but I feel you. There's only heavy sunshine where my dreams were, and I feel that too. When I finally do come back into my real body, it's gonna have a lot of explaining to do. When I was betrayed by someone who I really trusted in my world of theater, of voice, of music, I was too afraid to tell anyone. For almost a year, I kept those fumes simmering on the inside, burning in my gut, hidden from my family. Shake it off, Amy. Just breathe. I see you in the glaring sun. Mom, take a walk with me, please. Everything spilled out at once. Amy, your voice teacher, I trusted him. How? I remember staring at my hysterical mother. I held her hands, trying to ground her, and said, "Tell me something good." She fired back, "Something good? He was evil, a sick evil." But I insisted, "Mom, I need something positive right now. There must be something good." Mom just sighed, looked up, and said, "The sky is blue." I'm here, Mom. Don't fear, Mom. I'm asking you to try. I know that you're troubled, and clearly so am I. The sky, Mom, you see it. It's real stuff God has made. So look there and tell me, how can you be afraid? We will step on the head of the tiniest pin. Tell me, Mom, are you in? Fill this space packed with clouds in each moment. We'll pack each moment. We're safe standing in space now, you and I. Our world may be crumbling, but we still have the sky. The sky is blue. The sky is blue. So much rage in my core that I can't feel the floor. See me drowning in this flood. If you scare with your screams, then you'll tear at my seams. And I tell you, this is my blood. So be kind, please, and remind me. Please. Part of this is fury when your scream makes no sound. Part of this is shaking both your fists at the ground. When the damn clock won't budge and the world is unfair and you're screaming at God because you know He's not there. We're stuck, Mom, like this, Mom. If you can't hold a lie, there's light, Mom. So fight, Mom, and talk about the sky. The sky is blue. It will be blue. If you tell me it will be blue just for me, Mom, don't ask why, Mom, for this instant. Try to fake it. You go first, Mom. See the sky. Mom, tell me something good. I'll take it. Good. Good. Tell me something. Tell me sky is blue.
Wow. What a story. What songs. Shellen, if you want to put your video back on, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
Yes, sure.
How many songs do you have any idea how many songs Amy wrote?
Well, that group was about 20 songs, and about 15 or 16 of them were in the show. She continued to write songs, but she actually did more in the time that I knew her, the last few years, more playwriting than songwriting. And in fact, the other project that we were working on that you mentioned, More Than Ever Now, which started from interviews from family stories from various members of her family, and over a series of readings was becoming this quite incredible play about her and her grandmother, woven with the story of her grandmother's family's journey here and their lives here. Really beautiful piece. So, and then really recently, in the last half a year, she was working on puppetry. So she was exploring a lot of areas, and she wasn't doing as much songwriting, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't have come back again, you know?
Of course. Is anyone talking about redoing it? Her play with somebody else performing it?
Well, we have talked about a few of the actors who were in it, who were in every reading, some extraordinary actors. Really loved working on it and loved working on it with her. And there is some talk about seeing if there's some way we could move it forward.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
And I invite everyone, if they want to put comments in the chat, also to support MarshStream. Tips are always welcome. But yes, I'm hoping that people can. Kristen put it's open for, we can open up the chat for everyone, as well as I think we need to get, this might be a good interlude to get Valerie David over to a panelist now. Make sure she's got everything set so she can read her poem soon. But there's one more excerpt I'd like to do, and that is reading from her book, because it's really seeing Amy not performing, but reading about the situation. So Kristen, if you can also, I just told Kristen to do 6 things. I hope she can multi. Let's have a little reading here.
Hear an excerpt from your book?
No. Yeah, of course. So I actually wanted to share an excerpt about putting this show together, and this was the opening night. All righty. When Gutless and Grateful premiered in New York at the Triad in October 2012, everything came to fruition. I stopped comparing myself to others and realized that I had stayed true to myself. It felt like a springboard, my bridge to the world. I had no idea my story would not only resonate with people, but actually have an impact on them. People came up to me afterwards and told me that they were inspired by my story. They would almost apologize as if their own problems couldn't possibly compare, as though they were asking permission to share their own story. That always struck me odd because, as Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor, had expressed, suffering is relative. Although my situation was extreme, I experienced universal feelings that everyone goes through in life, whether it's a surgery, a breakup, or a broken heart. We feel connected through a shared experience. And that experience is what strengthens us just enough to keep getting through life's experiences day after day. So, as fearless as this seemed, telling my story actually made me feel normal for the first time. As audience members continued to tell me about their own obstacles and triumphs, it became clear to me how we all heal and move on when we're actually listened to, empathized with, and understood. As if it couldn't get any better, my brother called me as I was putting on blush backstage. Amy, William Finn is wandering around outside, waiting in line to get a ticket. Should I? Waiting for a ticket? Invite him in. I couldn't believe William Finn, the Tony Award-winning composer, had actually come. Now I was really ready. I meant to read the first excerpt first, but that was after I premiered it. But yeah.
Hi, I think that gives a wonderful feeling of the real Amy, so thanks for that excerpt. We've got many things coming up tonight in this tribute, but right now I'd like to bring Paul Siebold on, and he's going to tell a little bit about who he is and what his relationship was with Amy. Hi, Paul.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm honored to be here to celebrate Amy. I'm Paul Siebold. I'm a publicist for developing theatrical productions. Amy reached out to me in 2009 to work with her on her beautiful creation, Passageways, with Shellen. And even before meeting Amy, just by learning about her and her work, I knew how special she was. A songwriter, a playwright, an author, composer, an artist. I mean, all of that art she created, that's hers. An actress, a singer, but really, I think more importantly, from a societal perspective, she was an important thought leader on surviving and healing. And I'm inspired by her. Like, who wouldn't be, right? Our first meeting was at Ripley Greer Studios on 8th Avenue in New York City. It was magical for me. She was confident and joyful and excited, and we hit it off immediately. Another time, I was blown away by her rehearsal with her pianist, Bob Goldstone. Their music was artful and visual and inspired. I could see her musical numbers being performed by large casts and opportunities like beyond her solo performance. I mean, she was creating art that was destined for opportunities beyond her solo performances. It was extraordinary. Just before the pandemic hit, Amy reached out to me with the opportunity to perform at 54 Below, which became an impossibility, I suppose. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe an evening of her work could be performed there in her honor. You know, as I've shared with before, Amy was an inspiring, beautiful, talented, and gifted artist, and a special soul on this earth. And I am grateful to have had the opportunity to work with her and to be touched by her grace. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Paul. And that was such a sense of watching this. It was really feeling like these songs should keep being performed, that they can be performed. Sadly, it won't be by Amy. We do have these excerpts, thank goodness, but there's no reasons that these songs can't make it out into the world. And you called it Below Studio. What is it called?
54 Below.
Is that like?
It's at Studio 54.
So what happens below? Is there a cabaret space there?
Yes.
Well, hopefully
performance space.
You can. How big is it? How many people can be seated there?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure exactly what the total is there. I'm sure it's over 100 seats, but
well, that would
pretty
be
significant.
Be wonderful. Go for it. Go for it. If you want any support in putting it together, I don't know what we can do in the Bay Area, but I think it's a wonderful idea. And
we'll discuss.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to say that there are many members here tonight in this audience from Solo Arts Heal, which is this wonderful group that supports these important issues of health and healing and advocacy that Amy was so much doing through her own pieces. And so I just want to, we've got this group, we've got this show that happens every week, Solo Arts Heal, that is hosted often. And the grand dame of Solo Arts Heal is Gail Schickley. And unfortunately, due to some family circumstances, she couldn't be here tonight. But, thank you, so many of you who have shown up, and maybe we can talk a little bit more later about Sam Simon and Bob Brader and Suzanne Bachner and Joanna Rush, everyone who's done work through Solo Arts Heal and on the MarshStream as well. But also, I want to mention that Valerie David is here, and she's written a poem for this tribute, a special poem for this tribute. And let me give you a little bit of a bio before we bring her on. Valerie David is a playwright and performer of The Pink Hope, an autobiographical comedic drama. She wrote it as a cancer survivor to express the empowerment she felt being able to find human and superhero inner strength going through three bouts of cancer. It is Valerie's award-winning, internationally acclaimed, inspirational solo show that chronicles her journey to become this 3-time cancer survivor. She is a true superhero. She currently has no evidence of disease, no trace of her cancer as of April 2019. She is currently developing a new solo show, Baggage from Baghdad, the story of her father and his family fleeing Iraq in 1941 from religious persecution. So So Valerie, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
An honor for us, and we are so looking forward to this poem. Would you like to do it now?
Yes, I would love to. And it's very apropos that I followed Paul, because it's because of Amy that I have Paul as my publicist. I was at her home in Connecticut visiting her, and I was telling her about meeting a publicist, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to get Paul." And she gave me his email and phone number, and I called him the next day, and the rest was history. So I thank Amy for that. So I wrote a poem in honor of Amy. And you know what? I don't even have a title for it, because there's no title that could ever encapsulate everything about Amy. So this is a poem for Amy. Every time now, as I walk in the park, I start to notice all the trees and think of Amy because of the beauty in them she always sees. I never really listened before, never really heard. I never noticed trees until Amy called them her mentor. Such a poetic word. During my strolls, I find comfort now in a tree, knowing that Amy is there, still with me. I feared nature's creepy creatures, mosquitoes, ticks, spiders, and gnats. Living in New York City for nearly 27 years, how about them rats? Because of what I learned from Amy, I wrap my arms around a tree, no longer fear a creepy, crawly bug. Instead, I embrace the trunk, imagining it's Amy giving me a great big hug. When we first met in Florida doing our solo shows, it took me the longest time to pronounce her last name. Oestreicher, or just Amy O's. Amy Oestreicher is the name. And I knew then, so treasuring our friendship, I would never be the same. Because Amy inspires me, lifts me, thinking about her every day, listening to old voicemails, reading her texts, and then hearing Amy say, "Don't worry, Valerie, everything's going to be okay." One TED Talk of hers that stands out, "Follow your detour, find your flower." With her art, music, poetry, puppetry, voice, and dance, she inspired millions to find their own inner superpower. Our talks included the crazy dating scene, creating artwork, and wanting to write a new play together. All those memories I cherish now and forever. Though Amy is not on this earth, no longer here, Amy's My Beautiful Detour is a path that will always be near. Her spirit elevates us, and I vow to live up to her teachings and the gifts she gave us all. In heaven's Broadway, I have no doubt Amy's singing and entertaining. God and the angels are having a ball. I miss you, Amy O's. Keep performing up there with all of your shows. Your light in this world is eternally bright with a special glow. Though not physically here, Amy, your magical influence on us only continues to grow. Love you, Amy, and love to her family. Thank you.
Ah, what a beautiful tribute, Valerie. How long, so you were in Florida? Was it at a fringe festival? What was it?
It was in 2017 in January in Florida. Woot, woot! Much better than January in New York. And we met at the Sarasolo Festival in Sarasota, Florida with Ann Morrison and Blake Walton, who had that festival. and we were there at the same time. And I just felt such a bond with her. And I ended up having to go back to New York before she performed at Sarah Solo. So as soon as I got back and she was at the Metropolitan Room, I went to see her show and was just bedazzled by her and her family and loved them very dearly and felt so bonded with them. And when I visited them, I told my own mom that when I walked into their home, I felt like I was walking into my own family. So we were warriors together and survivors together, and she really is such a special person and has been such an inspiration to me. And she even created some beautiful artwork for the Pink Hulk that I used in my off-Broadway production in 2019 in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So she's a very special person that is so giving, and her spirit will always live on, and she's always going to be here with us, even if it's not physically. She's always with us.
I mean, you can certainly tell that tonight with looking at just a small speck of all her work. You know, as part of Solo Arts Heal, the Solo Arts Heal Collective, or whatever we want to call this, which I'm also part of, tell me a little bit about how you think the impact of her work about her survival and her medical issues, as well as yours. Can you talk a little bit about the impact and the importance of this kind of genre we have here?
Yes. She is definitely the epitome of Solo Arts Heals. And she's such an inspiration to me because she's gone through, I think, of anyone I've ever known, with all the surgeries and all that she's gone through all these years. She's the one person that I've never known to have so much happen, and at such a young age as well, because this was in high school. So she was always such an inspiration to me when I was down, or, just when I was diagnosed with cancer for the third time in 2018, knowing her there, being so supportive, really uplifted me and really helped me through my cancer battle, because I didn't know her for my first two battles, but I knew her for my third battle, which was the most serious and the one that I did question whether I was going to still be here. And so having her there for that one, especially that one, was so inspiring and empowering to me to help me heal from the cancer for a third time. She's got healing powers and she still does,
Well, let's bring on the rest of the solo art healers who would like to. Joanna Rush, Paul, Suzanne, Sam.
Yes.
Rhonda, anybody who'd like to pop on and talk a little bit about, watching the impact of this great survivor who's not surviving now.
Yes. Well, thank you again for having me on here and for having me have this opportunity.
Thank you, Valerie. Just keep on. I see we have Joanna on as well. Did you want to say something?
I didn't know Amy personally, but I feel so inspired by her work tonight. It's such a gift. Thank you for doing this. And that's all. I'm very moved.
Well, Joanna, you also have a piece about surviving sexual abuse, right?
Yeah, two of them.
Yeah.
One is about what it is, the sexual abuse, and the other one is about what can we do about it.
So there's different but similar themes, and
yeah,
the important aspects of this and what Solo Art Heal, that focus can bring to the world, I think.
Yeah, and I'm seeing this tonight. It gives me affirms how important the work is. It's really beyond inspiring. I mean, it really does heal, and it's important.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you, Joanna. Does anyone else
Thank
want
you.
to speak up from the Solo Arts Heal? Don't worry if you don't want to. That's perfectly fine.
Sure, I'll do it.
Sam, you want to, Sam Simon, talk about a little bit about your show and how it's so important to.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Valerie too. I mean, Amy, sorry.
Please talk about.
Yeah, I was trying to turn my video, but I don't need to. But glad to just give you. Oh, there I am. Hi. You know, Valerie introduced. That's why I got to. Valerie introduced me to Amy, and you know something. I never erased an email. So I have about 3 years worth of emails with Amy that I was just going through. But my biggest memory is that she and I were both juried or selected showcasing at the Alliance for Jewish Theater when they met in Boston. And I met her and I talked about her and with her some things, and we knew some mutual people, but I had not seen her perform. And luckily I went on first, because when I didn't know what I expected, but when she came on and we're doing, I was blown away. And I got to know her even more there. Yeah, my show, we all on Solo Arts Heals, it's so important, and thank you to Marsh for hosting and helping us promote our work. That, you know, I tell a story about how do you be with someone you love as they may take their last breath. It's called The Actual Dance, and it is a story of finding the blessing, believe it or not, and a gift if you have to do that. And how do you get ready for that? Because we all one day will dance, an actual dance. We will ourselves or with someone we love. And certainly in these times of the pandemic, it has been so important for people to reconcile themselves with risk and the possibility of loss of loved ones. But Amy's show was about strength and resilience. And I was so taken by her, and we saw some of it tonight, but her strength on stage, this sort of small frame, big voice, big person. So I think it's not only this appropriate to be missed, and she did, you know, the story we tell tonight, and hopefully for others to watch later, will inspire everybody to be able to tell their story, that they can tell their story.
Thank you so much, Sam. It looks like we have run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm so glad to have been part of this tribute for Amy and to have this all together in one place. So thank you to all the guests that came on tonight, and to Amy in her memory.